Welcome back to the Everything Happens for a Reason podcast and a quick solo episode today, just basically covering my own health and fitness journey because, as I said in my first episode, it's one of those things that I have briefly talked about before, but not really covered in detail. And I know I like listening to people's stories and how they sort of got into their health and fitness journey. So I thought I would cover that just myself today. And if it helps any of you girls, absolutely amazing. Or if you have any questions, like don't be afraid to reach out to me and sort of ask a wee bit more about it because you all know I'm an online coach. I specialize in the fitness industry. It is what I love to do and it is what I'm extremely, extremely passionate about. So that's what I'm here for at the end of the day. But I suppose for myself and a wee bit about myself when it comes to the whole health and fitness world and how it sort of became my job in general. But whenever I was 14, so that's when I first stepped into the gym. That's when I first stepped onto the gym floor essentially. But where it all started with me was more so to do with the fact that I was always very skinny and petite growing up, and it never bothered me, absolutely never bothered me until people started making comments. We comments like, oh, you need to eat more, have a burger, that sort of thing, or you're looking really sick, are you okay? And at the time, I felt amazing. I didn't feel bad in myself. I didn't feel low in myself. And it was just people just making slight wee comments to me over time that actually started getting into my head. And on that note, what I will actually just throw in here is when it comes to your body image, when it comes to how you feel about yourself, a lot of the time that actually comes from other people's opinions, not actually your own opinion. So if you grew up with somebody telling you, you're not pretty enough, or you're too skinny, or you're too big, or whatever the case is, you might not actually feel that way about yourself in general. But because somebody's repeating that and sort of like saying those wee things to you constantly, you start to acknowledge all that and put it into your own brain, and then that's when you look in the mirror, that's what you're thinking as well. Or it's like the environments that you be in, that will dictate essentially how you are going to feel, or how your relationship with your body image or your relationship with food is going to be as well. Like if your mum is somebody that is constantly dieting, is constantly trying to lose weight, is constantly doing the likes of Slimming World or whatever else, and just constantly like drilling that into your head essentially, or not even drilling that into your head, if they're just somebody that's constantly on a diet and constantly talking about it, how they need to lose weight, etc., you as a child are surrounded by that environment all the time. Guess what? You're going to grow up with an awful relationship with food because that's all you know. And also, if that is your mum, send her my way, I'll help her. I'm only joking. Well, not really. Let's get away from Slimming World, okay? I'm not even going to get into that. But if that's what you are growing up around, that's all you know yourself. That's literally all you know. So growing up, if your mom's constantly looking at herself and looking to be the smallest version of herself, when you grow up, you're going to have the exact same expectations. So something to be aware of. It's like generational trauma. Do you know what I mean? What your environment looks like whenever you're growing up is essentially the patterns, the habits that you're going to have as well. But I suppose that's where it came for me as well. I didn't think I was skinny. I didn't feel bad in myself. I actually felt fine. And then people started commenting about how skinny I was, and maybe I should eat more, maybe I should do this, just eat a burger, what are you doing, kind of thing. Started making wee comments like that. And then for those that knew me, knew that I literally ate all the time. Like I was a foodie. I ate all the time, but I would have like takeaways or whatever. And naturally, as an ectomorph, I have a pretty fast metabolism. I always have. So it's harder for me to gain that weight anyway. But yeah, those that knew me knew that I had all the time. And then the other side of the comments would come around like, oh, like should you be eating that much? Are you not worried about getting fat? So it was almost like trying to find a balance in between the two. But anyway, then I actually started to feel a wee bit too skinny. So that obviously came from other people's opinions. Whether I was too skinny or not, I don't know. I was 14. I shouldn't even have been thinking like that. But yeah, school is just one of those places, isn't it? Where like, especially going through puberty and whatever, you just randomly start to get self-conscious. But yeah, then I started to feel too skinny. So then my next potential thing that I wanted to focus on was get into the gym. And my dad at the time actually had started the leisure centre, and he randomly invited me to go. And God love him, I don't even think he knows this, but he's the one that kickstarted my gym journey. And now, yeah, here I am. I don't leave the freaking gym environment. Now he shouts at me for lifting too much. But yeah, my dad basically invited me to come with him, and I just wandered into the gym. And yeah, I think he lasted about a couple of weeks, and I just never left. I stayed in that environment. But in saying that, I did not have a clue what I was doing. I was doing loads of cardio, which essentially, with me feeling too skinny, me doing loads of cardio was just going to make that worse. So that didn't make any sense. Loads of cardio. And then my goal shifted to, I wanted to get a dumpy, essentially. Okay, we were here to grow the glutes. What did I do to grow the glutes? I did about 100 squats and 100 glute kickbacks body weight every single time I went in the gym, and followed by about 100 crunches. If you know me, if you know me off my social media right now, I literally will slag my younger self for this. Okay, 100 crunches doesn't work, 100 glute kickbacks doesn't work. I unfortunately did not get a fat ass by doing that. It just did not happen. Okay, there's a lot more that comes with that. So yeah, I made every mistake out there. I then started eating really healthy, but then eating whatever I wanted at the weekends, which made no sense as well. So I was potentially massively under eating during the week, which led to more weight loss. That side of things, it just didn't make sense. I did all the fad diets and everything else, and yeah, it was just like an ongoing cycle, more so. And yeah, then the couple of years went by, and I stuck to the gym. I was very consistent with it. To be fair, I would have went every day after school, and I loved the environment, absolutely loved it. So then when I did start to feel even more self-conscious because I was losing weight, because I wasn't taking the right approaches, I actually started to educate myself on it. I started doing research. I started learning more about the gym in general, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, protein intake, calories. I started to gain a better understanding of all of that, and that's when my actual fitness journey started. And yeah, I gained a wee bit of weight. I got into obviously much better shape just by gaining an understanding about that. But in saying that, my relationship with food was still not great, essentially. But it's always going to be a work in process. Okay, so I started the gym when I was 14. I'm 25 now. It's been literally 11 years. I don't count that as 11 years. Is that right? Jesus Christ, that's a long time. Don't count that, because the first couple of years I don't count at all. But like, I have been doing this shit for a long, long time. Okay, a really long time. And as I said, I made mistakes throughout it and whatever else. But whenever I actually started making it my career, everybody would essentially be looking up or looking at my Instagram or whatever and thinking she's got her head screwed on. She knows, like, she loves the gym, her diet's perfect, blah, 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 her relationship with food, her body image, she must be super happy. That's not the case at all. Like, over the last couple of years in particular, I would say, is when I struggled the most when it comes to my body image, when it comes to the gym, consistency. You fall out of love with things, and lifestyles are like, your lifestyle is going to change. Things are going to happen where you're going to get thrown off. Yes, the gym is my safe space for me, essentially, to a certain extent, but it doesn't mean I always want to be there. And a couple of years back, so I've done photo shoots and everything back and forth. I had a coach in the past who was extremely restrictive, and I fell into a really, really bad relationship with food. So my calories were super, super restricted, and then coming off the back end of that, I just started binging. I gained nearly, like, I would say more or less probably around 2 stone, which, yes, I wasn't big, but for me, I felt super uncomfortable, and I was big for how naturally petite I've always been, and that completely messed my relationship up with food. And then I wanted to book like another photo shoot to do an extreme diet just to lose the weight, and that's just not the right way of going about it. So then I took time off, actually, and that's when lockdown happened. And over lockdown, naturally, we were all out walking the streets anyway because we couldn't do anything else. I lost that wee bit of weight and sort of got myself back to a healthier weight in general. But through all that, I struggled so much. Like, I wanted to restrict, I wanted to undereat because I just didn't feel good in myself whatsoever. And from somebody that never struggled with food beforehand. Like I said, when I was younger, I would eat whatever I wanted. Yes, other people maybe didn't see that because I was small and I didn't put the weight on, but like feeling out of control when it comes to binge eating and feeling like you are eating even when you're not hungry, that's scary. And it's scary for somebody who had never experienced that. And me being a good couple of years into my fitness journey, being a good couple of years, of following different diets and actually being in a healthy place, that was so scary because I felt like it was a out of body experience. I didn't know what way to go about it. I didn't know what way to tackle it, essentially. But then I started working with a different coach who is still my coach to this day. She helped me prep for my first bodybuilding show on that side of things as well. Absolutely amazing. Love her to bits. But yeah, I started working with her, and the main thing we focused on was building on my relationship with food and just getting my body and everything healthy again. So took loads of time off, didn't complete another photo shoot, literally left about a year until the next photo shoot, until I went in a diet phase and just focused on becoming a healthier, like finding that healthy balance between food and finding that healthy balance between, exercise, not feeling the need to be working out every day or walking or doing cardio every single day just to lose the weight, and actually working on my body image and my own confidence as well, was massive. Did another photo shoot, reversed out of that amazingly because my body and my mind were in a super like positive place when it came to all of that. And then things completely hit rock bottom, let's word it that way. Was going through a lot of personal things at the time. And with that being said, whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm like overwhelmed with anything, I don't eat. Like, I just don't. Working on that, but my appetite drops. It's not a priority for me. I don't think about it. Just stress, naturally my body weight drops, and I actually lost so much weight again, but to the point where it was unhealthy. I was under the 50 kg mark for absolutely no reason. It wasn't intentional. I felt disgusting. I felt super skinny. I didn't feel strong, didn't feel great going into the gym, just wasn't enjoying anything, and that was just solely due to stress. And yeah, then going into last year, so going into January 2024, so I've said in my previous episode that I went to Bali in December. I went to Bali, lost even more weight there, which is surprising because I was literally eating out all the time, but just with no routine and still having external stressors going on, just wasn't ideal for me. And activity was probably a lot higher too, but sort of started getting myself back, getting my stress levels down. And then going into the new year, I promised myself that this year was going to be my comeback, and 2024 was the year Aiste made a return. Okay, the real Aiste. So yeah, the sort of going into the new year, I was like, no, I'm gonna gain my weight back. I'm gonna gain weight. I'm gonna feel confident. I'm gonna set myself new goals. I'm gonna set myself new intentions and show up for myself. And that is exactly what I did going into that year. So I set a goal to do a show in November. That show was more so for me to step out of my comfort zone. Yes, the intense diet phase was probably not going to be ideal, but I wanted to get to a position where I was so comfortable in myself and my body to be able to step on stage to show to myself that I've got the confidence and I can do that shit, essentially. And it was just a massive step out of my comfort zone. Like, if you would have known me over the last couple of years, I would have never done that, never done it. So it was just a huge stepping stone for me in terms of that, and just to prove to myself rather than anything else. But yeah, so going into January, knowing that I had that to work towards really helped me, and the stress was gone. Like, my life was a lot more relaxed, a lot more chill. And yes, there was certain like external factors that I couldn't control, but anything that I could control, I took full control over. And like, I always speak about this, but your environment matters. So if you're somebody that's like, if you're in a constantly high cortisol state, if you're constantly stressed, whatever is causing that, I'm not going to curse, but get away from it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the stress in general. And yeah, like, it did wonders for me in terms of that. I got my stress levels down, and I just started working my way up. I really started working on eating more, and like, it was at the point where my appetite was still low, so I would set alarms whenever I needed to eat. But it worked because it built my metabolism back up. I got so confident in myself. Like, I was buzzing with the way my training was going. I was wearing bikinis and actually feeling good and not feeling like I'm too small, which, you know, it works both ends of on both ends of the spectrum, sorry. So like, for me, my lack of confidence always came from feeling too small and feeling like I had the body of a teenage boy. For other girls, it comes from feeling like they're maybe holding on to too much body fat or whatever. And both are equally as important. And I always say this to girls, like, a dress size doesn't define confidence whatsoever. It does not define it. You could be a size 14 and you could feel absolutely incredible in yourself, or you could be a size 6 and be extremely insecure. Do you know what I mean? It does not matter. It all comes down to how you feel and what's comfortable for you. So for me, like, being super tiny and super skinny is not confidence. That's not when I thrive. Having more glutes, having a wee bit more shoulders, you know, keeping all of that in check and holding on to that wee bit more body fat when my legs don't look like chopsticks, that's what confidence is to me, and that's when I feel at my best. So that's what I was working towards, and I got there, absolutely nailed it, and I loved how I felt throughout the year. And then I felt so confident and so ready going into my bikini prep, essentially. So for the show, I felt so ready for it, and I loved my prep. Most people hate their prep because they're restricted and everything else, and yes, obviously that's part of it, but because I had spent so much time working on myself and on my relationship with food and working on building my confidence up, I was so ready for it. And yeah, I was absolutely buzzing with the result that I brought, and like even how I felt in general with the lead up to everything. And at the end of the day, look, that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? It's working on yourself to the point where you actually feel good, and that's not dictated by what size you are. I felt great on stage, being super lean and the smallest I've ever been. Do you know what I mean? But I also felt amazing whenever I had about another 2 stone on me. So throughout my photo shoot prep, I lost a stone. Am I right in saying that? No, 1.5 stone I think I dropped. Maybe I'm lying. I basically, at the peak, sort of at my heaviest, I was at 62 kg. On stage, I was 51. So was that just around 11 kilo, which is a lot to lose, obviously, for how small I am. But I felt equally as confident at both of those completely, and like, weight means nothing. You know, I felt confident for different reasons whenever I was bigger, and I felt confident for different reasons when I was on stage. Whenever I was bigger, I felt confident because I wanted bigger legs, I wanted bigger glutes, you know, I had a wee bit more curves, I was enjoying my lifestyle, which is a big part of playing it as well. Compared to on stage, I felt confident because I reached the goal that I wanted to reach. I had abs, which left about a week after the show. I didn't even think they lasted a week, but I had abs. I felt just good in myself for completing it, and proud of myself for completing that, which a lot of confidence comes from that. I was glammed up, you know. There's so much that comes with that. But yeah, the last year for me in particular has been probably the peak of my fitness journey in general, and just my own self-growth journey and personal development and everything else, which, you know, your physical health will have a big impact to play on how you mentally feel as well. And that was, both of those were stepping stones to get to where I am today. And now post-show, okay, let's talk about post-show. So I didn't think my reverse was going to be a struggle. My reverse has been a struggle, and I'm just about getting the grips of it now. Definitely being back at home made it a lot harder with my family, and my mum constantly putting cakes in front of me. And yeah, I was like a bottomless pit. You could literally set, I don't know, like 3 roast dinners in front of me. I'll probably eat them. Like, I would have had them, not anymore. I have more control now, but the reverse is so much harder than the prep, and it's because I was super restricted. And this is why, like, I don't necessarily support that bodybuilding lifestyle. I did it because it was a challenge for me, and it was the next thing for me, and to push myself out of my comfort zone to prove to myself that I can do it. But for my clients, I don't support that lifestyle because it's not realistic being that restrictive, and it ends up in you falling into old habits like binging because you've been so restricted for so long. And it really makes the body dysmorphia kick in as well, which obviously none of us want. So Yeah, with regards to the reverse, it has been a struggle, but we are weaning our way out of it. I think my mindset has been quite strong. If I would have done the show 2 years ago, I don't know what would have happened, to be honest, because yeah, I just didn't have that same control. I didn't have that same discipline and self belief in myself. Whereas now I'm like, okay, blips are happening. Yes, I might have over at one night, but I'm not letting that go into the next day. I get straight back on the ball. I'm still doing what I need to be doing, and that's all that matters. And like, one thing I really want to highlight is, you know, from doing this for so long, I'm still not perfect. I still have so much to learn. If another stressful event pops into my life, I'll probably lose weight. Do you know what I mean? But because I've done it now and it's happened beforehand, I know how to work on it, which is the main thing. And this is one thing I always say: you learn from your fitness mistakes, or like your mistakes in general. That's what you learn from. If everything was just a breeze and you sort of ran through everything really, really smoothly, what would actually come from that? Like, you would not learn anything from that whatsoever. Whereas, you know, going through stressful time and losing all that weight, I know if it happens again, or like if I'm under a lot of pressure, I know what I need to tackle. And for me, it's going to be setting alarms on my phone to eat and making that a priority. You know, it's sort of like holding myself accountable in that aspect. I know that if I restrict myself, I'm more than likely going to have a few binging episodes, but what can I do to prevent that? And that goes for all of you girls as well. Like, I always say this to clients: stop expecting your journey just to look perfect. You know what I mean? It's the mistakes that matter. It's the bad weeks that actually count, because the bad weeks is where you actually make it part of your lifestyle, and you will know for next time how to tackle that. Like, the first time it might feel like a mistake, but the second time it's going to be improved, and you're only going to keep leveling up and getting better and better from there. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Couple of months past like show prep, and yeah, getting back to routine, getting back to normality now, and that's the most important thing. And I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't think I'm gonna compete this year coming now. I think I will do it again in 2026, because I loved the whole experience. So I do think I will do it again. No plans set in motion yet, but I'll keep you all updated with that side of things anyway. But I hope this gives you a wee bit of an overview of sort of like how my own health and fitness journey started, and then it essentially led to being my career as well. But I just want to sort of highlight that, you know, no matter how long you've been doing this, no matter how long you've been training, it's never perfect. You're going to have blips in the road. There's going to be times where you feel great and other times where you just don't feel good at all. And both of those times are okay. So just allow yourself to cruise through it, and don't be looking at other people. Like, don't be looking at my Instagram thinking, oh my God, her diet's perfect, she's training all the time. I have the time she's not. You know what I mean? Like, Instagram is a highlight reel. Yes, that's the lifestyle that I promote, but you know, even your top fitness girls that you might be looking up to, they struggle as well, and they might have felt super self-conscious, you know, beforehand, that you were just not aware of. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and yeah, I'll see you all again next Wednesday.